What I've got here is some avocados that we've kind of hollowed out a bit and filled them with this really great, well, cooked shrimp salad of sorts, but with an Asian flair, some ginger and some garlic and some bok choy and onions and well, we've got peppers in there, and all this is gonna go together. I'm gonna make a tempura batter and we're gonna fry it. This over here is an Asian slaw. I've got some bok choy and some bean sprouts. And over on this side, I've got this dressing that I'm putting together. Let me start this tempura batter first. Now, tempura batter, a lot of people love tempura because it's nice and light and crunchy, but don't know how to make it at home. And here's some of the quick tips. First of all, tempura batter. That's really the big tip. You get the tempura batter and want to make it with ice water. Colder the better. Matter of fact, when you're mixing in the water, if you happen to get some ice cubes in there, that's all right. So we're going with a little bit of water, and what we're looking for is the consistency, something kind of like, well, almost like pancake batter. So with a whisk, get everything out of the center of it. Okay. And what's gonna happen is we're gonna actually submerge these into the batter and then put them into the oil, and I've got the oil right around the 350, 360 mark. Okay, there we go. And I'm just looking at it, getting the chunks out of it, not mixing it too much. All right, and take a look at that. That's just what we're looking for. Okay, now here comes the big trick. You got hot oil, you're gonna do tempura. Now in the restaurant at Tex Wasabi's, we dip the shrimp in, we're holding the tail, and we let them go in, and they kind of move away. This, we've got this big item here, so let me put this down to the side. And watch out, because the heat can change the temperature on that. And what we're gonna have to do is figure out a way to get it into the oil. So I've got this trick. So grab this mixture, be careful with it, because they're sliding all around on the plate. Set it into the tempura mixture, okay? Put some on top of it. There we go. And I've tried this all different ways. I tried it with tongs, but it kept sticking to the tongs. Okay, now get this out. Get some of the extra batter off there if we can. And then just kind of like they used to launch a ship in the Navy, okay? Stand there, crack the champagne, and here it goes. Just like that. Was that quick and easy? Let me just wipe this off, get some of the hot oil off of there, and we're gonna put the next one in. Get some on top of it. There we go. Make sure that we coat the entire avocado and shrimp salad. Now, if you didn't want to do it this way, you could actually go and just put some panko breadcrumbs on these and they would be ready to go also. Here goes another one down. And try to keep them away from each other if you can a little bit so they don't stick, because that tempura batter just wants to stick next to the one that has tempura batter on it. Kind of gets glued. Okay, and I'm wiping it off each time as I do it. There we go, and then we'll put the third one down. Submerging it, using kind of a deep but thin bowl works great for this. Okay. There's still ice cubes down in my tempura batter right now, so I know it's super cold. And then here goes the next one. Boom. Okay? So only about 3 and something about this size. So I'm gonna let those cook. Now let's talk about this. Well, I had some ginger, some garlic. I deglazed it with some midden, some Japanese cooking wine, kind of a sweet wine. All right? Now I'm gonna hit it with a little bit of sesame oil. Don't wanna put the sesame oil when it's cooking. I wanna put it when it's nice and cool. A little sesame oil, a little rice wine vinegar, and a little bit of olive oil. And this is all for the slaw. Okay? So we put that mixture in, give that a quick whisk. Oh, look at that. You could catch all that ginger coming out right off the bat. Nice cool slaw, nice and crunchy. Gonna go along with this really hot avocado that's been tempura with the shrimp salad. It's gonna be a winner. Okay, so that goes in. Give that a quick toss and let this set up here for a bit. All right, take a look at those. I'm telling you, that is a tempura avocado with a Asian shrimp salad in the middle of it. We've got bok choy and red bell peppers and garlic and ginger all done together. And then this over here, well, this is the Asian slaw, and it's got bean sprouts and carrots and a nice dressing made with some ginger, some garlic, some brown sugar, a little sesame oil. And actually, I have to pop some of the garnish onto this, some fried wontons, and you can't have it without a little crunchy peanuts. All right, and then this over here, well, let's put these up. Oh, look at those. Like I said, if you don't like them fried, putting a little panko breadcrumbs on there or a little tempura bits will work out just great. But me, once in a while, you gotta have the indulgence to just jump right in. But look at them, they're beautiful. This would definitely surprise somebody that you're gonna fry up some avocados. Now, a little sweet chili sauce, just a little bit on each one of them. That's a nice little tangy, sweet flavor. And hit it with some black sesame seeds for a little contrast in color. All right. That is outstanding. First, I gotta get into a bite of this avocado before it cools down. Shrimp, done up, sauteed. The avocado is nice and smooth and velvety. Oh, it really opens up a lot of the flavor. Let's start on this fish. Oh, this is gonna be a good one. Okay, some Pacific halibut. Let me just grab the whole carton of eggs. Oh, right here, the pepitas. You're gonna love this. Kind of, I mean, something a little different. You don't always see fish get coated with this. And let me get the big urn of flour out. Okay, here we go. So pepitas, pumpkin seeds, okay? Mexican pumpkin seeds. Really nice, delicate. I think they've got great taste to them. Matter of fact, sometimes you'll find them salted and not salted. These, not salted, which is great because I want to add the salt to this on my own. Okay? There we go. Nutty. You know what kind of taste it reminds me of? Well, it's a pumpkin seed, of course, but it kind of reminds me of like a grown-up sunflower seed. Okay? Now, get some flour on this one. Nice roasted flavor of that. I think that's why it's going to go so well with the fish. Get some pepitas down here. Keeping an eye on my peppers. Now, if you don't have a grill like that, by the way, on those peppers, if you want to do those in the oven, you can. Sheet tray, just keep an eye on them. Sometimes when they're not in my eyesight, I kind of lose them, and then I come out and they're overcharred. There we go. Look at that. That's the char we're looking for. This is when you have the hood on high. Okay. Let's get a little salt in here and pepper. So there's some black pepper, some salt. Couple eggs down, gonna make a little dredge, and this is really only gonna go on top of the fish. We'll dredge that flour all the way around the fish. Compost that. There we go. Not gonna put any milk in this. I'm not trying to do a whole coating. This is just gonna be a really nice, actually we're gonna kind of, I mean, I don't wanna call it a glue, food glue, but when we mix this flour with this egg on top of this fish, it's really gonna grab those pepitas and hold on because we're gonna fry this right in the pan and kind of put, really kind of hold these on tightly, okay? There we go. Let me get it all lined up here. Okay, do I have everything I need? There's the flour. Let's look at the halibut. Oh, this is gonna be nice. The halibut, this is Pacific halibut. This is the halibut you wanna use, and look at that, nice, firm, flaky fish. You don't have to use halibut, but something that is firm like this tilapia would work nice on this. So here's what happens. We kind of dredge this in to this seasoned flour with the salt and pepper. Take the side that we wanna use, hit that into the egg, like that. Wait, before I do that, let me get a platter that I can land all this on. So get that on that egg side right there. Make sure it got coated, and then boom, into the pepitas. Give it a nice firm push. Hope that it all worked, and look at that nice coating, huh? All right, so we take that, I bounce all through these, then I'm gonna wrap it, put it in the fridge, let it set up for about 15 minutes so it really holds on there, but time to work. I tell you, the coating better stick to that fish because it sure did stick to my fingers, and I didn't even have the pepitas on me. Okay, so I got that all cleaned up. Look at this. Doesn't that look great? Look at all that great color, the green all wrapped around there. Let's get some plastic wrap on this. We're gonna let the flour and the egg kind of bind together on the fish with the pepitas. Let it set up for about 15 minutes. I don't need it anyways right now, so it'll go down in the fridge. Go. Make a little room. Let's get into a shallot and a Serrano, and this is gonna go for that zesty cream sauce. Okay, you could get garlic in here too if you want, but I don't wanna go too far with the flavor. I don't want it to take over the fish. Okay, so there's this. There's the shallot. Let me get the Serrano. Now, Serrano's going in, seeds and all. Actually, let me preheat this pan back here and just get a touch of butter down. Okay. Now, these only need to get a real rough chop on them because I'm going to buzz them. I'm going to hit them with an immersion blender. If you don't have an immersion blender, you can actually take it out and put it in a regular blender. But I don't like doing that because then I'm just dirtying up another piece of equipment. Okay. Those go in. Let's grab a couple things for this. A little half and half. Yep, robbing all the dairy from my refrigerator. And some cilantro. Of course it needs some cilantro. Okay? So the cilantro is gonna be about a cup. Now the cool thing about this, you know a lot of times you go through and you pick all the leaves off of the herbs because you're worried about getting the stems. I want the stems in this because that's where the flavor is. So we get this, again, just busting out a rough chop on this. It's gonna go with that immersion blender, so we'll break it down. But I'm not saying that I want those big. Those get a little bitter for me, okay? So those toast up a bit right there. Get down with about a cup of the half and half. We're gonna let this simmer, reduce by half. Let's talk about what we're making. I've got some nice Pacific halibut that I did in a dredge of some flour, a little egg wash, and hit these pepitas on it. Talk about dynamite. Got a preheated pan, and let me get down with a little bit of oil. And what we're gonna do is just kind of put a little brown, put a little crust on those pepitas, and then finish this fish off in the oven. A little Valentine's Day meal for Lori. Here, a spicy cream sauce I'm making with cilantro, serranos, and some shallots. Looking good, but let me see where I'm at on this temperature. Now, I want to really focus on this for a second. We're gonna get the oil hot, okay? Not smoking hot. It's kind of like when you throw onions in a pan and all of a sudden they start to turn brown on you, like, oh, wait, I didn't mean to go that fast. Same thing here. These pepitas are gonna have the chance to, boom, turn black on you real fast, and then you gotta start all over, and that's gonna be pretty tough. So what I wanna do is grab just my first one and just see what it's gonna look like. Really nice and delicate. I don't wanna knock that crust off. Just getting a little bit of sizzle. Now, I'm not too worried about this absorbing a bunch of oil. I'm really more concerned about how much time the pepitas actually spend against the heat so they don't brown up too much. So like I said, there you go, just a little touch. You can hear it. Okay, and these are gonna finish off in the oven. So we'll let them brown a little bit, and then we'll go ahead, flip them, let them just get a little more brown, and then pop them in the oven, 350, maybe about 10 minutes. Okay, there we go. Move that oil around a bit, and remind me, please, I gotta keep an eye on these. So let me take a look at this real quick. Ah, see? Good, glad you texted me and let me know. Okay, pop that one over, perfect. That's exactly what I'm looking for. Look at that golden color to that. There we go. Okay, so we'll just let this go. And you see how the pepitas are sticking to this? That's because the egg wash mixed with the flour and really coated it on tight. Excellent. A couple more minutes and I'll pop it in. All about today, making some Valentine's Day food for Lori. Got a great cream sauce here with a little serrano pepper and some shallots done with some half and half. Reduced it down, a little cilantro in there, prime time. But that's going with this. Check this out. Pacific halibut with some pepitas on top. Toasted them just a little bit in the pan, flipped them over, and finished it in the oven. And tell me that doesn't look dynamite. Yeah, take that piece right there. Look at these, okay? Coated them on with a little bit of flour and then did a little egg wash. Put the pepitas, the Mexican pumpkin seeds on there. A little salt and pepper in that dredge. That's what I'm talking about. Okay, let me see here. A little bit of lime into the cream sauce. This is the last move you make on that cream sauce, okay? And I got a spoon here and just drizzle a little bit of this. Nice thin, not too thick of a cream sauce, right over the top of this. Look at that. Look great or what? The top of those. There we go. Okay. Got a fork here somewhere. I'm dying to see how these pepitas came out. Cooked perfectly, not dried out, nice and flaky. Let me crank up a little bit of heat on this pan, and this is where we're gonna get started with the onion, the garlic, and the shrimp to make the stuffing to go into these little bad boys, the Peppadews. Okay, so let me get started on these right now. This is the last two of the shrimp Nice having them peeled and deveined, but boy, taking those tails off and cutting them up small enough so they'll go in those Peppadews. There we go. So that goes in with the onions and the garlic. All right, give that a little flip and a little saute. Then I'm gonna deglaze right now, and what is this for? Well, it is gonna be for this really tasty stuffed peppadew. You know, these South African peppers, little spicy, little heat. I'm gonna stuff this shrimp mixture into it. You're gonna love it, okay? Then we're gonna hit a little bit of lemon juice in there. There we are. And just a pat of butter, well, a little more than a pat. You're gonna let that sit down in there and reduce for a second. Tell you something, I'm gonna wear this knife out. I tell you, to make great food takes a little bit of extra effort. Well, here goes some parsley, some Italian parsley, into this mixture of onions and garlic and shrimp, and they've been cooked and then deglazed with a little white wine and some lemon juice. Let's go ahead and make this vinaigrette. Now, what I'm gonna do is I said it was gonna be a futon of cabbage. I'm gonna make a nice little vinaigrette with some rice wine vinegar. There we go. A little midden, which is a Japanese cooking wine or Asian cooking wine. You can use white wine if that's what you got. There we go. And a little bit of soy. Just a little touch, and some olive oil. Just a nice, like, Asian vinaigrette. Okay. Whisk that together. My vinaigrette's done. Now I want to get some cabbage. This is just gonna be kind of simple. You know, I'm just gonna give a nice little julienne on this, kind of shred it up a little bit, put it into the mixture, and this is gonna work as my futon au cabbage for these Peppadews. Not real strong with the knife, go ahead and grab a mandolin. You can find them pretty reasonable these days. But look at that. I love this cabbage. Right in there. Okay. Toss it a bit. Now, it's gonna take a little bit of time in this marinade. It needs to soak some of it up. It's kind of like making a coleslaw. If you put the dressing on it right off the bat and then put it on a platter, it kind of runs a bit. So we want this to sit there and kind of soak some of it up in there. All right. There we go. Now it's time to stuff the Peppadews. Now, what are the Peppadews? Well, these great little peppers that come out of South Africa. They're kind of spicy, they're kind of hot, but they're kind of sweet at the same time. Find them a lot of time at salad bars or olive bars. So now we take this mixture, and we'll give it a little stir. And remember, we've got the shrimp, the onions, the carrots. We deglazed it with white wine. We got some butter, we got some lemon juice, and we just put in some parsley, and we put in some green onions. So you take it like this. Pick up a little spoonful, and you almost kind of have to work together on this when you do it, but you'll take that and stuff it, and then it'll sit up in that cabbage like little gems. Huh? What do you think? Pineapple boat shrimp with fruit salsa. We're gonna pop these shrimp into this bag. Let me grab some soy sauce. About 3 or 4 tablespoons of soy sauce in here, but we're gonna put this cornstarch in here, and what it's gonna do is, 1, it's gonna work as a thickener when we cook the shrimp. 2, it's gonna help bring some texture, like a little bit of a coating to the shrimp. Really works out nice, and I think you find cornstarch used more in Asian food than anywhere. Okay, lemongrass. I love working with it. It's got to be fresh. You'll find a lot of grocery stores these days, and what we're looking for is that the center part is a little bit more tender. But the idea is you come back with the back of a knife, kind of beat it up a little bit, and I can already start to get the fragrance of it. A lot of times, Southeast Asian cooking, Thai cooking, it's really popular. Here's the thing that gets weird about it, is if you cut it too small, it's really super fibrous. So you either need to puree this stuff or like blend it up into nothing, or make it in manageable pieces like this that you're able to take it out, because this is gonna flavor this marinade, but it's not necessarily gonna get cooked with the shrimp, okay? And some ginger. Same idea on that. That looks like enough. So big enough surface area that it starts to touch some of that soy sauce, starts to bring out the flavor. Now, let's get the shrimp into here. Now these are a 21-25. I think it's the most common size shrimp to work with. Okay, let me get some cornstarch. Okay, give me a couple tablespoons. Okay, resealable bag. Let me kind of move this around a little bit. All right. There we go. Okay, pop this in the fridge. You can over-marinate the shrimp, so watch it. This is gonna be fine in about 20 or 30 minutes. Okay, a little oil on that. Now, half the shrimp is gonna go down. Why? Because if I put all the shrimp in, well, then what takes place is we start to have the shrimp start steaming each other, and that's not really what I'm looking for. So I'm gonna bring the shrimp over. Pan's nice and hot. Oil's moving around in the pan. You can see when we call it fast in the pan, when the oil kind of moves like water in the pan, you know it's hot without seeing it smoke yet. So we'll throw one of these down in. There we go. And if you ask me, they look like they are just about done. Okay, pull these off. I don't want them to cook too much. I'll be serving them up in this really dynamite pineapple boat that I have here. And I'm gonna just let this sit over here. Actually, I'm gonna deglaze this just a bit. Get some of the great flavor off the bottom of this, because I'm also gonna be putting some veggies back in here in just a second. All right, so got my pan ready to go. I was working on some bell peppers and some onions. Just giving a nice rough chop to those. Wow, it's like confetti everywhere. Okay. And these are gonna go in and complement it. Now over to my right here, I've got a fruit salad, and what I've done is left that on the counter because I have some Serrano peppers that I really got down to a fine, fine dice that are kind of marrying some of their hot oils all around inside of there with the pineapple and the red bell pepper and a little of the red onion. So I'm gonna take this jalapeno and just kind of dice it up as well. Okay, let me fire this pan back up. There we go. Actually, I'm just gonna bring it over here. There we go. These veggies will pick up all that flavor off the bottom of this pan. Okay. And I also need to get some ginger and some garlic in here. Okay. And you know how many times I've seen people sit here and do all this and they're going, there's nothing in there, kind of walk away perplexed. You gotta give it a little smack on the side of the pan to make sure it all falls off in there. Also, another thing is they give you a guard on these microplanes. Make sure you use the guard, because if you start knocking down the fins, they really don't work too well. Okay. Great. The shrimp's gonna go right in here, marinated in some ginger and some lemongrass. So just give a little squirt of some soy and bring this right over here. It's gonna go into these pineapple boats that I made. So check that out. Load up a pineapple boat. Really nice on the presentation. Okay. Get this in like that. Man, I'm gonna get a little bit on my plate. Let's just do a little taster on the side. But look at that great presentation. You take that out to a table, party of two could go and share that. And then we get this great salsa that I made here with the pineapple that I took out to make the boats, and some Serrano chilies, some red bell peppers, some red onions. Look at that going on, huh? Tell you that's looking great. Well, I'm almost ready to do the exciting part of making these koi fish tacos. It's actually gonna be the part of dredging, breading, and frying this cod. I know it sounds strange, because usually you think with fish tacos, you're actually putting them on the grill, but this is where it's all gonna start. It's gonna start right over here with the tempura batter. Now, tempura batter can be found in almost any grocery store and in your ethnic aisle. If not, some specialty stores have it, but it's really nice and easy to work with. One of the keys to it when you're making the batter is using cold water. So I'll show you this, should I get everything out of here. Now, we don't need a lot for this. I put a little bit here that we're gonna dredge the fish in first, and this helps when we take the cod out of the marinade, dredge it in here, creates a little coating, and then we'll put it into the wet batter, and it helps it stick to it. Now, this is really cold ice water that I'm putting in here. There we go. And before I put too much in, I wanna kinda whisk it and just see how thick it is. It's supposed to be kinda thick, almost like pancake batter. Not supposed to wear all of it, okay? Get a little bit more in here. And follow the directions, but the idea is less is more. You can always add more water, but if you run out of the tempura batter and it's already all in the bowl, you have nowhere to go. Okay, there we go. Now the fish has been marinating over here. This is cod. It's been marinating in some tequila, some lime juice, a little bit of cumin, a little bit of salt, a little pepper. I've got this going everywhere. Maybe, you know, do this in a large bowl, then pour it into this. So there's the dredge, there's the batter, here comes the panko. What's panko? Well, this is a Japanese breadcrumb. It's kind of a coarse breadcrumb, doesn't really have a lot of flavoring or seasoning in it, kind of like an Italian breadcrumb. This is just all crunchy breadcrumb. You watch this, because I'm gonna be sending some of these to you, okay? So that's out. Now we do have to de-bling for this because we get our hands all the way into it, so rings come off. Here we go. Shake the marinade off, dredge it in the tempura flour. Now into the batter. That cold ice water really helps this batter adhere to the fish. How you doing on those tortillas? You got some tongs right there if you need them, boss. Those get too hot. Okay, now, all done up. Transfer them over to the pan, and you can see why we debling. Okay, take them, roll them over into the breadcrumbs, and kind of press the breadcrumbs down a little bit. And then we're gonna go right into this canola oil. It's at 350. Drop them down.
Turn it off the stove right now.
So we've got some cod that's been in tempura, panko breadcrumbs, fried up, and now we're gonna make some Tex Wasabi koi fish tacos. Money. Okay, guys, let me show what happens here. We pile this on top of the cabbage. All right, and then we got some warm tortillas right there. Okay, so let me get a tortilla out. Okay, so these corn tortillas, nice job grilling these, by the way. Okay, so you grab a piece of cod, break it up on there, take a little bit of lime, squeeze that on top, okay? And the aioli, well, this has got, I'd say, the garlic and the tequila and lime in that. Take a little bit of this over the top, a little bit of cabbage, top of there, some of the pico de gallo, the beak of the rooster, there you go. Wow.
Outstanding.
Guys, the crunch, you get the tomato, the pico de gallo, the cabbage is nice and firm in there. Money. Okay. Look at that big bad boy. That is the pride of the Pacific right there, Dungeness crab. I want to crank it up. Heating up nice, and I'm going to hit it with a little canola oil right now. This is going to be a cross between saute and fry. Okay, but if it's hot enough, the crab won't, or the meat, or whatever you're cooking, won't absorb a bunch of it. So let's look at this. Now here's the big surprise. When you get it from your fishmonger, you might find it with the cap on there, but it's all cleaned and done for you. If you're finding them live in a tank, ask your fishmonger, would you mind cleaning them and cooking them for me? And they'll most likely help you out. Kind of like how when you go and get a fresh lobster. So look at this. This has been cleaned. Nice big claw meat. Really sweet, tender meat inside of this. I'm going to crack it once here. And I'm going to give it once right through here. The body meat in this, I think, is probably the tastiest, but you know, everybody has their favorite part. Just going to hit it with a little crack in each one of the claws. Not too much, because I don't want it to break apart. And what this is going to do is this is going to let a little bit of the flavor of the sauce that we're going to make after we quick fry it in this. This is going to make the sauce give a chance to kind of soak inside of there. Look how hot that bad boy is. Ready? Here we go. Now, take it easy with this. Slow it down. But after a while, you'll toss it like that. And if you don't want to toss it like that, grab yourself a spoon and just hit it over. Okay? So this is going to hit like this for a couple minutes until it warms up. When you get back, I'll take the soba noodles out, we'll put the salad together, and then I'll make the delicious sauce out of the black bean garlic paste, and it's all going to come together. I'll see you in a minute. Wow, check that out. Hot crab in a wok, a little bit of canola oil, and I got some Dungeness crab, and I've cracked the shells and heating it up. And what I'm going to do now is I'm going to make this great sauce that's going to go into it. And I've got a cold Asian noodle salad that I'm working on, and we're going to do some exploding noodles in a second. But first things first, I need to finish this. I'm going to take that off the heat for just a second and go shopping. I need some black bean garlic paste, a little hot sauce, some more sesame oil, some cilantro, believe it or not, and a little Sonoma County's finest, some white wine. Okay, there we go. Okay, now, let's take this crab out of the wok. Now, this crab was already cooked when I got it. And, you know, if you find the crab live, you can actually ask your fishmonger if they'll help you out and if they'll clean it for you. What I did there is just really intensely heated it up with a little bit of oil. What I'm going to do now is make a sauce that I'm going to toss it into. So a little black bean garlic paste is going to go in, and you can find this in the, you know, if you have an Asian store around, or you can also find it by going into the ethnic aisle of your supermarket. Okay, so like 3 tablespoons of that. It's going to go hot and fast. And then I've got some, let's see here. I'm going to pull that off the heat a little bit because I don't want it to cook too fast. I'm going to deglaze it. A little bit of hoisin sauce. There we go. And that's kind of like a Chinese barbecue sauce, pretty all-purpose. It's not, you know, really extreme in one flavor of another. Really great to work with. I love it on fish. Put in a little bit of hot sauce. You might have your favorite. So these are all going to go together for a second. Turn that heat way back up, and I'm going to let this reduce a bit. And it's picking up a lot of that flavor of the crab that's already all the way around this wok. And to help it grab a little bit more of that flavor, a little white wine. Put that around the sides. There we go. About a quarter cup of that. Okay. So we're going to let this sit here and just kind of work together for a second. Let the flavors come. Let it caramelize down a bit, reduce down. Look at that. And it also deglazed the pan and picked up the flavor. Okay. So that goes down. That hangs out. Okay. Let's take a look at this. Look at that. It's just caramelized up. It looks like a hot syrup. Now we go back in with the crab. Crank that heat back up. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. Now, I've got some cracks already in the crab, and you see that in the center of the crab, it's open, but what's going to happen is that sauce starts to make it in there. Starts to make it right in with the meat of the crab. Okay, there we go. Now, I got this hot oil, and here's what we're going to do. And watch out on this one. You might have seen it in a movie before. I'm going to drop some cellophane noodles into the oil, and check out what happens. Isn't that cool? This is going to make a real nice bed for that hot crab that's done in that spicy sauce, okay? All right. These got to chill down for a second, and I'll just kind of put these around. I like edible garnish myself. When we get some of the sauce on these rice noodles that I fried, it's just going to be outstanding. Get to eat that in the crab. But look at this crab. Dungeness crab, kind of the pride of the Pacific out in California. We love this, and we'll do it crab boil, crab cioppino, any way we can get it. And this right here, the Asian crab, is big in the Chinatown and San Fran. Ah, this is dynamite. Look at how good that looks. I'm going to take a little bit of this sauce and deglaze it with a little white wine, just because I don't want to leave anything in the pan on this one. Oh, boy. You should smell the flavors. So what I've got in here is some hot sauce, some white wine. We've also got a little hoisin and then a little black bean garlic paste. You can pretty much find any of those sauces in the aisle, you know, the Asian aisle at your grocery store. But look at that. Okay, we'll hit this right over the top. Nice and hot. Oh, fantastic. Okay, a little garnish here with some green onions. There we go. And a little toasted sesame seed. Put it all together. All right. Okay. I got to grab a nice big piece of crab, some of the salad, and because I did all this work of hitting that hot saute pan, I've got to try the crab first. You got to get the flavor. The fresh crab, the spiciness, the black bean, the garlic, all coming through. What I'm making right now is, with this chorizo, some jalapenos, garlic, all these peppers and onions that I just cut up, and I'm gonna be making a stuffing that's gonna go into a poblano chili that I've got roasting in the oven right now. So I need to kind of get this smashed up a bit and let it get some contact with the pan so it starts to break down and cook out some of that fat, because I need some of the fat to help me cook these vegetables. All right, so there's some cilantro chopped up. I'm gonna get the jalapenos down right now. Those can get in there. And that chorizo fat, you know, we're going to cook with some kind of fat, if it's oil or chorizo fat or bacon fat, so why not use the chorizo? Let's get some green bell peppers and some red bell peppers in. Matter of fact, everybody can go in the pool except the garlic right now. There we go. This will all cook down a little bit, and then I'm going to be adding in some short grain rice in a little bit. Let that cook almost all the way, almost to the point where we would do service, you know, like we'd be ready to go on the table. But because we're going to be stuffing it into these roasted peppers, we're not going to cook it quite all the way. Look at that. That's a shame to even go and stuff that in anything. Look at the colors. Smells fantastic. Okay, let me hit it with a little bit of kosher salt and a little cracked black. All right, we'll let this sit here and sweat out a bit and build some flavor. Let's go grab these peppers. Okay. Now, the peppers have been in the oven, 300 degrees, 3+, and let's take a look at them. That's exactly what we're looking for. See how they're starting to wrinkle up a little bit? We're cooking them. We don't want to cook them all the way. We don't want them to get to the point where they're overdone and they're soggy, and because then they won't hold together when we stuff them with this rice. So those look good, and I'm just going to let them cool down for a second. Let me fire up my grill. All right, there we go, on high. All right, short grain rice, a couple other things I need. Chicken stock, white wine, and there's my chicken. Forgot the basket again. All right, chicken's marinating right there. Chicken stock, white wine, there we go. Look at that. I can even throw a little bit more heat on that. I still want to be able to see the chorizo when I put it into the rice. I don't want it to completely break down. And I do want some flavor and some texture and a little bit of, not crunch out of the veggies, but I don't want to cook them down to the point where I can't notice them. Just before I put that rice in, I'm going to put the cilantro in because the cilantro doesn't want to participate in this big heat right now, competing against all those big flavors. Let me get some rice down. I'm going to do just about a cup of rice of short grain. Mix that in. Now what's going to happen is I'm going to mix this for a second and just let the oils of the chorizo kind of mix around the grains of rice to let them kind of become individual so they don't kind of clump together. And just for a little bit, because what I'll add to it right now is the liquids, okay? So the liquids I've got going in is I'm going to do a half cup of water. There you go. I'm going to do a full cup of chicken stock. So that'll put me at a cup and a half. And I am going to do a half cup of white wine. So it should equal out 1 cup of rice to 2 cups of liquid. There we go. All right, now I'm going to throw in my garlic. Get that mixed in real quick. And you can almost see the rice is getting a little bit of a crunch to it. Oh, that's dynamite. You know, this is almost the way that you would start a paella or start a risotto, is with this way. I don't know that it necessarily has the chorizo in the risotto, but the paella, yeah. Okay? There we go. We'll hit in some of the cilantro. And then here we go. We're going to actually deglaze it with this chicken stock, white wine, and water. Excellent. Excellent. Okay, so what I'm going to be doing, lowering the heat, popping a lid, and starting to take the tops off of these so I can get ready to stuff them. Let's take a look. And the rice came out dynamite. What I have here is some short grain rice, a little chorizo, some peppers, some red onion, some jalapeno, some garlic. And I've got some chicken stock and white wine, all that to cook this. Looks great. Okay, some 2125 shrimp that have been deveined, deshelled, de-everythinged. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to chop these up and put them into this rice, and I'm going to stuff them into these peppers. Now, the idea of why didn't I put the shrimp in when I cooked the chorizo is because if you put the shrimp in, they go through that whole cooking process of the rice. Well, they're going to also get cooked inside of these poblano chilies. If they get cooked inside the poblano chilies, well, they're going to be real nice little tough little nuggets. So what we're going to do is give them a chance to only have one cooking process if possible. Okay, so those all get chopped up like that. And then everybody in the pool.
That's good.
And what's going to happen is they'll just take a moment in this rice, and I'll stir them up, and then you guys are going to put them in the chilies.
We get to stuff them.
Help time.
You get to stuff them, but don't eat the rice right now because now it's got semi, uncooked shrimp in it. It'll cook when it goes inside the chili, but not right now. Okay. Okay, and watch the pan. It's hot. There you go, and just fill them up to the kind of the top of the chili. Okay.
Cool.
All right.
Slide that
Wash
over
this off. Are we done with those?
Yeah, what do you think?
Okay.
Look good?
Well, we've got
Too
some
much?
extra for some other peppers. Let me grab these. I'm going to pop these in the oven. They're going to go in for about another 15 minutes, 10 minutes, but I'll take them out at one point and put some cheese on the top and let it melt. If I put the cheese now, the cheese will melt everywhere. The peppers are done. Stuffed poblanos with shrimp, rice, chorizo, peppers. See if you can just grab one like this because I don't have a spatula for you. Oh, I got to get into this.
That's a little warm. Yeah, this thing looks awesome.
That is outstanding.
Mine.
So, I've got the possum, I got the parta, I got the poblano. I'm out of here. Take it easy. Grilled seafood cioppino. But let's talk about this marinade. A monster bowl, a bounty of lemon juice, some salt. Don't have to go too heavy on the salt. Granted, it all came out of the sea. Black pepper to get in with a little garlic, and I'm just gonna rough chop that garlic. This will break down. It'll share its flavor. Little white wine. And another one of my favorites when it comes to seafood is some capers. They couldn't make the jar any smaller. And they start falling all over the place, okay? Just like I do with the garlic, just give it a little pop, just to kind of open it up a bit. And last but not least, you think of the spice. Man, I've been to some Cioppino feeds, woo! I mean, it is all spice. So we'll just add a little bit of chili flake to this. And then to coat it all, to help all this great flavor stick to this seafood, a little bit of olive oil. Okay, let me give this a quick whisk. Now, I'll turn this a few times as I let it marinate. But what we're gonna do right now, we'll drop that nice big piece of halibut in there. That's what we're talking about. Then we'll get those scallops in. Beautiful. We'll throw in, I'm gonna pop that crab in half just like that. Excellent. The other one, look at this, and this is so fresh. Here we go. Down inside, and then we'll throw prawns that will take it real quick. So grab this and a little foil, and we'll go back, because what do you want? You want your seafood nice and cold. So we'll throw a little cover on top of that. All right. All right, grab a tray, because I'm gonna put a little marinade on these as we work. So the first thing I'm gonna start off with is a bunch of Roma tomatoes. Last of the Romas. Tomato sauce and Cioppino, hand in hand. Next up, red bell pepper. Red bell pepper and big onion. One more, the fennel. The key here is to keep these fronds. We'll hold those to the side. Okay, fennel, there's that. Now check this out. Hit a little bit of olive oil, a little bit of salt, touch of some black pepper. Believe it or not, we're gonna hit it with a little fennel. Fennel's a strong flavor in this Cioppino. Okay, with a little fennel seeds, and we'll hit it with a little red chili flake. Again, spice is a key piece as well. Start to throw the fennel on. Throw the peppers. Just keep an eye on it. And you know, here's the cool thing about this. This is one of those things that you can grill. You don't have to worry about how ugly it looks, because this is all gonna get pureed up. So if it has a little extra char to it, fantastic. That's a little extra flavor. Look at that. Kind of slide them on. Oh, tell me it doesn't look great already. And to think this is all going to come together for a seafood dish. I'm going to make this fantastic Cioppino. I've got a bunch of seafood that's in the fridge right now. And this right here, well, this is the Cioppino sauce. You don't typically see it as a fire roasted Cioppino sauce, but I'll tell you something, we're going to highlight that seafood incredibly with this. A little bit of chicken stock. Drop this on. Now I took the seeds and the stems out of the bell pepper, but otherwise, everybody's in there. Look at all that char and all those bits. All right, that's my kind of Cioppino sauce. Fire roasted, right on. There we go. And if it gets too thick, I got a little chicken stock to thin it out. All right, awesome. Roasted garlic's down. Now, this is where this kind of gets into some decision-making process. What do I want to add first? Well, I've got the hard shell of the crab, and it's pretty industrial. I mean, it can handle the heavy heat. So I'm going to throw that on first. The shrimp, they're protected also with their shell, these prawns, so I'm going to go ahead and throw those on. Look at that. Okay. And here we go. I'm going to put the fish on. It'll probably go on last and come off first. Nestle that right in on top of there. And then I'm just gonna hold those scallops for a little bit. I'll put those on at the last minute. So I'm just trying to finish up this fantastic Cioppino sauce. Add a little ouzo there, because if you've had a good Cioppino, you know it's got some spice, it's got some garlic, and it's got a nice little anise flavor. Okay, so we'll take this. I'm gonna pour it right onto my platter here. Now, some beautiful halibut. This all marinated, by the way. Leave that right there. Take these beautiful scallops, lay those around the side. And I just want these super, super tender because they're gonna sit inside that hot sauce. I mean, look at that. Tell me that is not gorgeous. Look at that. Get a little bit of the sauce. Just drop a little bit on top of this. I mean, it's gorgeous. A little more. The basil, some of the fennel fronds that I had. Okay. First, I got to dig into some polenta. A little bit of this halibut. And then, when you want to get your crab, I'm a body meat guy. So you dip it right in there. This Dungeness crab. Of all the crab that I have, I mean from king crab, snow crab, you can tell I don't like it. This is the one to go to. Cedar plank salmon, dynamite. We're gonna start with a little jalapeno. Jalapeno and some garlic to get this spicy apricot chili glaze going. So the jalapenos, normally when I'm doing them on Guy's Big Bite, is I'm taking them and taking the ribs and the seeds out. That's where all the heat is. These I'm actually gonna cut in rounds because I want a little bit more heat. So I'm gonna leave the ribs and the seeds in. Okay? Now, if you didn't have a jalapeno available, a little red chili flake would work good, but jalapeno really is meant to go into this one. Okay, now my pan is nice and warm. I've also preheated my oven with the broiler because I'm gonna be popping some peppers in there to let those kind of char up so I can take the skins off them. Okay, a little extra virgin olive oil, saute pan, not too hot because I want these to caramelize a little bit. I want some of the heat, but I also want them to mellow out just a bit. Got to hear a little sizzle when it goes in or you're definitely not hot enough. Okay, that's down, a couple cloves of garlic. Now the same thing with the garlic. Normally you'll see me mince it or put it in a press or dice it up real fine. This here I'm gonna kind of do just in some real nice thin slices, and these will survive a little bit better in this pan. You know, a lot of times when you see garlic browning up, you're knowing that it's becoming bitter. These are gonna actually cook right about the same tempo that those jalapenos are. Okay, and those go in. Next one. Give it a little toss, get that oil moved all around. We're gonna add in a little whole grain mustard, and we're gonna do the apricot preserves. What if you don't have apricot preserves? Orange marmalade would work good. A little bit different flavor, but it's that same idea where you're gonna be bringing a fruit into it, a sweet fruit. We're gonna have a little bit of the acid from the mustard coming in, and then we got a little bit of the heat from the jalapeno. So you can kind of mix this up the way you want. I'm gonna deglaze it with a little bit of white wine. Whoa, nice catch, you see that? Well, kind of nice catch. All right, so we deglaze it with a little white wine. This also works great on game, like if you're doing some pheasant, if you want to do some pork chops. Oh, dynamite on pork chops. Center cut, bone in. Okay, and we'll crank this up now really high because the alcohol is going to protect that so these now won't burn, and we hit it with a little bit of the whole grain. Dijon mustard works good too. You could even go yellow mustard if that's all you got. 1, 2, 3 tablespoons. All right, apricot preserves. Again, when it comes to something like this, like the apricot preserves, using the better quality works good because everything that you put into this is gonna come out in the flavor. And a lot of times people say with wine also, well, you know, the wine's not that great, save it, we'll cook with it. Don't cook with anything that you're not gonna drink, and don't put it in the dish. Okay? Okay, so now we've got the spicy, now we've got a little bit of the sour from the mustard, now here comes the sweet. So about 3/4 to a cup of that, of the apricot preserves. Excellent. Get a little spoon, roll my corn. See how the corn's starting to brown up? That's just what we're looking for. We're just gonna try to get it done evenly around there. So I've got this working together. These flavors are gonna marry. This is gonna reduce, gonna make a really nice glaze that we're gonna go and put on our salmon that's gonna go on the cedar plank that's gonna go in the oven. Now I need to get the cedar planks down. Now, cedar planks, why? Well, the smell of them kind of smells like a closet or like a cigar humidor. And what ends up happening with this is some people soak them in water and then throw them in the oven, and they almost steam a little bit and impart some flavor. Me, I like to go a little bit more big bite style, and I actually don't soak them in the water. I just throw them right on the fire. So I've got them down on the fire, crank up the heat. I'm almost going to let them burn. Now, this would be something you'd probably be a little more interested in doing outside on your barbecue, but you really have to pay caution because this almost might get, you know, glowing embers on the bottom, which will create smoke when we put it in the oven. So no kids doing this. Really do this with some caution, okay? And you can see they're already starting to smoke now. Okay, let's look at the salmon. Beautiful fillets. What I'm trying to do here is we could use a big piece of salmon. I like to use them in little steak cuts if I can of the fillet because I want this glaze to get everywhere around the salmon when it cooks in the oven. So these are looking pretty perfect. Look at this, what's going on here. See how they're starting to smoke up? Perfect, just where I want them. This is definitely the time to make sure that you don't have the smoke alarm going off. Okay, look at that. A little bit of smoke going on right there. And that's not too much because we don't want it to change the whole flavor of the house. Throw that one down. That one got a little bit extra. Okay, so those goes down right there. And then we'll throw the parchment paper on there. Parchment paper is gonna curl up in just a second, unless I get these salmon steaks down, these fillets. Okay. Don't put them too close. I see, I knew it was gonna curl up on me. Don't put them too close together because we don't want them to be steaming each other. Give them a little separation. I could probably fit 3 fillets on here with this size. And also, I took the planks off of the fire because see how that parchment paper, it could actually catch on fire, so we don't really want that to happen. Those go down, that goes down. Let me hit it with a little salt, a little pepper, right on top. Oh, those look beautiful. And cooking with cedar really adds some nice flavor. You really have to watch out, though. You can't just take any cedar that you find. Usually going to a barbecue store or online to a specialty food store is where you can find these planks. There, those go down. There we go. Gives a nice, sweet, earthy flavor to it. Okay, now here, that glaze is cooled down, so it's not going to run off of the salmon. If I put it on there hot, it might have a tendency to just kind of cruise right off of there. Down. A little bit more. Be liberal with it. I'll show you a little trick of why this is not gonna wreck your oven if it does start to run off of the salmon. Okay. Excellent. Turn that bad boy off. Now these planks shouldn't be so hot that I can't touch them. They're gonna be all right. Into the oven at 350 degrees. Pop these on top. There we go. 350 degrees for about 15 minutes. Should be fine. Take the pan that we had, flip it upside down in case any of that glaze starts to run off. Okay, there we go. Now it's been down about 350 on cedar planks. Wow, look at those. How hot? Yeah, they're hot. I'm gonna pop those down on top of this. And I put that tray, I put this cookie sheet underneath it because in case that apricot chili glaze started to come off of there, I didn't want that to drip all over my oven. But look at that and smell it. The rosemary's coming out, a little bit of the jalapeno. Now I put it on the parchment paper, so what'll be nice is that it didn't stick to the wood and I might be able to use the wood again. Oh, look at that. A Mahi and shrimp ceviche. We're talking it's marinated in fresh citrus juices and served with crunchy tortilla strips. It's light, refreshing. It is the perfect starter. Here's what we have. I took some shrimp. This is for the ceviche. And a lot of times people take the shrimp and they just go ahead and put this into the citrus. Right. And what happens is it will cure it. It will cook it, but not, it gets a little mealy when you do it that way.
So is it like a parboiling?
This is kind of like making shrimp cocktail. So we're gonna bring it up slowly and just let it turn a little opaque, take it out of the heat, and then it's ready to go and will absorb all these great flavors. So you're great on the cilantro. You want another job?
Yes, I do. Give me another job.
If you do good,
I do.
If you do good soon, I will set you up with some fantastic Sonoma County wine. Okay?
Let
me get this.
So let me earn it.
Nice bribing. Grab the celery over there. Need about 5 or 6 stalks. And here's a peeler. And if you could just take the ribs off of the back of that, that's gonna come together for this fantastic ceviche marinade. Now, while she does that, I'm just gonna cut this about 1/3 of a pound to some 1-inch pieces.
How much?
Perfect,
like
you got it.
Okay.
That's it. Break it in half. I'll even pop the lid off for you. Huh? There you go. Just don't ask me to get the lid back on there correctly. I wait forever. So now I've got some lime juice, some orange juice. I think that's enough celery. This is pretty big stalks, okay? So here's what we've got. Throw that in there. And the great thing about the celery is it's gonna add some nice sweetness. So we'll let this kind of puree up. We're looking good. Let me grab a bowl.
All right.
You wanna give me a little chop on that? Are you good with the big blade?
Yeah.
Okay.
All right, now
Let me jump over here. I'll swing around. Excellent. Okay, so this mixture comes off into the bowl.
All right.
Now we're gonna add a little bit of spice to it. We'll add some cumin, actually some black pepper.
Coming and going. Okay.
Some cumin and going? Is that the little line you just threw me?
No, just.
Okay. That's perfect. You got enough on that. Okay,
All right.
so look at here. The celery, we've got the juices. I add a little bit of cayenne, a little bit of cumin, some salt and pepper. Let's take a look at the shrimp. The shrimp is just starting to come up to color. Okay, I'm not gonna shock it and put it into an ice bath because then it kind of seizes up.
Okay.
I'm gonna just drop it in here. Okay.
I get shocked when I get put in ice baths too.
Get a little
Is that an
something. Right here, hang on. Okay, this is the worst part of my career today. Let me just get this cilantro out of your hair. This is great. Hang on a second.
I like this.
Let me
Do
say.
I have something on me?
Let me. There's cilantro, but I don't want to grab it. Okay, hang on a second.
You know what? It's.
Okay, hang on.
It's
There we go. I got it.
All right.
Just give me a rerun of that tape all
I'm
day.
always like, do I have something in my teeth?
All right, so we take the shrimp out. They're a little bit warm, but they're gonna cool down when we pop this in the fridge.
All right.
Now, this is not the super spicy style,
All right.
but what you have here is the shrimp have been, we par-cooked them a little bit, remember? In the water, the salted water. So what we're trying to do is make it so they're not so mealy. Nice and
Mealy,
sweet.
that's the thing. Normally they get like mealy. Oh my God, it's so good.
Go, go, go.
I like this one.
Try it one more time. This time, I'll just put a little shot.
Don't be shy. Don't be shy.
There you go. A little sauce, some hot sauce.
Okay.
Huh?
Uh-huh.
Gotta love a girl that could eat it.
I
Next,
love food.
Lobster Hushpuppies. They're crispy, golden, and packed with juicy lobster meat and served with this awesome horseradish cream sauce. We're gonna kind of make a court bouillon. So we'll poach lobster tails in there. There we go. So we'll throw in some garlic, a little peppercorn. Let's get a touch of some salt. I got a lemon here. We'll wedge that. We'll get some lemon in there. About a half a cup of your favorite Sauvignon Blanc. And this is the kicker. Don't tell anybody. This is crab boil pack or a seafood boil. What do you have in here? A little mustard seed, little chili flake, little coriander. This is so nice because they already do it for you and you don't have to do the cheesecloth. And then all these little seeds don't get stuck into the lobster tail, okay? So we'll let that kind of sit in there, poach out a little bit. Awesome. So the boiling water, I've got some, I don't know, 6-ounce tails. Beautiful looking tails. I'll just give them a quick pop right in the center, like that, straight down. And this is gonna help me get some of that fantastic broth flavor right through the center. I'm not breaking them all the way open. All I'm gonna do is cook this meat just a little bit, pull them out, let them cool. Half the meat going into the hush puppy, the other half of the meat, well, that's the surprise. So these go down. Now, what's a hush puppy? Well, if you haven't had one, you've been missing something awesome because a hush puppy is this fried, it's kind of like fried cornbread with a tremendous amount of flavor. So let's get into making this thing. So here's a big bowl to do it. First, we're gonna start with some cornmeal, about 2 cups. When I was a kid, we would go to this place and they'd make hush puppies and they were just cornmeal and eggs, maybe a little bit of salt. This year, we're gonna have some jalapenos, we're gonna have some red bell pepper, and more importantly, we're gonna have some lobster. Now, how would you really infuse that lobster flavor into this hush puppy? Well, of course, you'd put some of the lobster in there, but that's the big pieces. We're actually gonna take some of the lobster, cool it down, add a little buttermilk into a food processor or a blender, and use that and make like lobster milk, lobster buttermilk. Touch of salt. Let's get some flour into this. 3/4 of a cup. 2 teaspoons of baking powder. touch of some black pepper. Give this a little whisk. Now, you got two options here. You can take the lobster tails, cook them all the way through, and then drop them into an ice bath and cool them that way. I think that tends to make them just a little bit, well, I'll say, makes them a little bit hard. They kind of seize up on you a bit. So what I like to do is when they get about 3/4 of the way done, there's still all that residual heat, then what I'll go ahead and do is pull them out and just throw them on a tray, cool down for a second, and then they'll be nice and room temperature, easy to work with, and they don't get real hard. Okay. So this is all coming together. Now you look at that and say, there's not nearly enough liquid for that. Don't worry. As soon as the lobster's done, goes with that buttermilk, mixes into this, it'll be fine. I've got my jalapenos and my red bell pepper ready to drop. I've got my poached lobster tails, so I'll take 2 of them. You get the big chunks of lobster in there, that's one thing. But where can you really get the depth of lobster all the way through? Here's the technique. A little bit of buttermilk. Break it all the way down. 3/4 cup of buttermilk. 2 full lobster tails, so about 12 ounces of lobster. Leave a little bit of chunk to it. There we go. Dump that in. So there you are, pureed lobster, but you talk about massive flavor throughout. I'm gonna rough chop these, don't wanna get too small. Remember, we're gonna fry these. I've got that oil going at 350 right now. Okay. We'll drop this right in. Okay, you want it kind of like, I don't know, donut dough. So, grab a little bit more buttermilk. Nice and tacky, just holding together. Bring it over, oil's at 350. Gotta make sure you keep an eye on it. There we go. Huh? Drop it. We're running a little bit hot, but it'll cool down in a second. There we go. So these hush puppies are gonna get this awesome horseradish cream sauce. Don't want to overdo it, don't need it overflowing, but these puff up. Look how nice. You see the size of the scoop and look how they puff up? That bicarbonate, a little bit of the baking powder really helps out. Okay? So let me work on that horseradish cream right now. This is a quick, simple, easy one. It can go great with the prime rib, but it's really meant to go with the lobster hush puppies. 3/4 cup, 1/2 cup of sour cream, heavy cream, black pepper, touch of salt, and now the horseradish. Now this is prepared horseradish, not horseradish cream, so please keep an eye for that because if you put the horseradish cream in here, it's really not going to give you that big wow flavor that you're looking for. Mix that up. And we'll get a few chives in here. Nice little sparkle of the green. Drop those in. That right there is done, okay? A little salt to go down on these. A little bit of lemon juice. We're gonna try these delicious lobster hush puppies dipped into some horseradish cream sauce. Southwest Lobster Rolls. We'll drop half the butter in each of these. We're gonna make a compound, we're actually gonna make a garlic butter to go with the rolls for these lobster rolls, and we're also gonna make a basting butter that we're gonna put on there with a little habanero. I've got some garlic here. Nice. Give me a little zest of that lime. We'll get some capers in here as well. Go there, go there. Thank you. We're gonna hit some of the lime juice into it. Watch out, coming over, dropping some shallots in. I want to drop this parsley over to you here, and that's gonna be for that butter. Turn that heat down a little bit. I'm gonna drop this habanero. It's an essence. I just let it steep in the butter and in the white wine, and that really just let it come out a little bit. You knew it was there, but it didn't burn you. So you see how this is all coming together? Yes, so we got the garlic, we got the shallots, we got the habanero, we got the capers. We got to turn that one down because it's going to start to burn. That's going to go together. We're going to grill some lobster tails. In this lobster tail, I want you to go right here at the center. Yep. Push through. Yep. Down. Now, the younger the lobster, or actually if it's molted, if it's lobster, it's going to have a little thinner shell. Sometimes you'll get into them and you'll be pushing down on them. You're like, there's no way I'm getting through it. Right. So go ahead and crack them all the way through, cut them in half. Okay? While he does that, I got a little garlic butter.
I mean, completely.
Yeah, back to where I was, right in the
and right there. Boom.
Okay, now, as he does that, I am actually going to leave. No, I'm sorry.
See you later. Let's go ahead.
Okay.
Don't worry.
No, you got to go all the way through. Okay, you good?
Good. Tell me to put them in half.
Now here's what I want to do. Throw them on here.
Okay.
And grab yourself a spoon and drizzle a little bit of the habanero butter on it. I'll switch sides with you.
Gotcha.
Because I'm going to pull the yuca out. There you go, big spoon. Drizzle some of the habanero butter right on top. The texture and the sweet aspect of lobster is really what makes it so great. So now you can take it spicy, and you can take it Asian, it can be Italian, it can be subtle, it can be cold, it can be hot, you know, it goes anywhere. So these go down right here, Joey. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna start them in the shell, get a little sear on them, flip them over, mark them off, continue to baste them, and the last thing we gotta work on before we put this all together, let's talk about rolls. Okay, so take a look at this, brother. And here's what we'll do, we'll start them right here.
Lobster roll.
Here's, I'm gonna let you work on this. Okay. So we take knife, we're gonna do it just like they do in New England.
Center. Yep.
Gonna cut it right down the center like this.
Gotcha.
Okay.
Spin them open.
Open it just a little bit. Hit in just a touch of that garlic butter right on like that. And throw it on the grill.
It's like magic.
You see the magic? All right, so what do we have for you? Some fantastic lobster that's been grilled, basted with a little bit of a habanero butter. Then we've got some toasted rolls over here with a little garlic butter onto those. This beautiful lobster cooked in the shell over hardwood. And this is really not gonna look right, but here, I'm gonna let you try this right here. Oh, good, thank you. I thought you were gonna make me feed you. Huh? Okay. You got that? Bring it over here. Let's do this. Tag team, throw a little avocado right on there.
Slither in there?
Just 2 pieces. So we hit a little garlic butter on top of this. Right. Excellent. Now we're gonna go, Joey, there's some more of that. Now we'll throw some of the lobster meat in there.
And throw that little juice in there. Yeah.
I got this.
Got it.
Okay. Throw a little bit of that on top.
See, what I like about this is you bring your own flavor to it, no pun intended, but it's got the heat, and that's what I like. I like heat. I do. And a lot of
Lobster
stuff that
rolls
you
can
do,
get a little bit boring.
So when you put the heat on it, it's...
Absolutely. Hit me with a little bit more. We'll
more
get some tomato, some avocado right here.
You got it.
Okay, do this one. You know, when you get a little bit of that bite, you taste that habanero, but it's not too overpowering.
Love it.
Okay, let me throw one on there for you. I got a cold beer right here.
This is a lobster roll right here. Lobster, right?
There you go. 1, 2, 3.
All right. That right there is a kick lobster roll.
Did you just edited your own comment?
I did.
So here's the deal. Hanging out in the
good.
backyard, cooking with your friends, especially your famous friend from NSYNC, Joey Fatone, my brother. You killed it on Rachel vs. Guy Celebrity. You rocked the kitchen tonight. Next time you come back, you set the menu, and we'll go from there, okay?
Yeah.
Cheers. It's my catfish sandwich with a Chipotle-Lime slaw. Now what's gonna happen is I'm gonna get some flour over here on the first one. A little bit of flour. And check it out, some chili powder. And this is gonna be the beginning dredge. This is what's gonna stick to the fish. A little chili powder and a little black pepper. Okay, this is what's gonna have first contact with the fish. Secondly, a little whole grain mustard. And the whole grain mustard is gonna go with a little beer, a little nice rich beer. You get that really great mustard flavor. You get the richness of the beer. You get the tanginess of the mustard, the sweetness of the beer. All these things going on, killer. Watch this little trick. Right underneath the hand. Boom, Yahtzee. Okay, there we go. A little dark beer in there on that. And then, to make this whole battering process go on, a little panko breadcrumb here. Oh, good, I did have enough, okay? And these, a Japanese breadcrumb, really light, crunchy, holds onto the fish really well. Doesn't get soggy, doesn't get matted and cakey. Okay, some granulated garlic. Some paprika. Wow, that's some good looking color on that, huh? I always keep some fresh ground black pepper off to the side. Nice helping of that. Some salt, and there we are. All 3 are ready to go. Look at the color coming out in that. That'll really shine nice. Okay, so we get all this separated. The star of the show, these beautiful catfish fillets, nice and tender but firm, not overly fishy in their taste. I think they go great in gumbo, jambalaya. It's gonna work fantastic in the sandwich on this nice Cuban roll. I mean, it's gonna be quite the presentation. So we get this. Let me mix this up. Okay. Dredge this through here, like that. Here's my tray. Now into the beer, so the flour sticks to the fish. Now we get some of that great beer flavor and that mustard sticking to the flour, and then boom, into the panko. over the top like that, and I did not do my wet hand, dry hand. So as my son Hunter would say, I am now going to have Hulk fingers. They'll start building up. That's all right, I'm only doing 4 fillets. And what I'm gonna do is set them on this rack and let them dry out a little bit. And what happens, that helps the breadcrumbs adhere. And you see I'm really packing it on there. Okay, this is gonna let the breadcrumbs adhere better, so when I fry it up, it's gonna give this nice, crunchy, stick-to-it kind of batter. Nobody flaking and falling off in this. Okay, some onions, red onions, some green onions, some red bells, some nice cabbage, and all this is gonna go together for this fantastic slaw that's gonna go on top of these catfish fillets that I have dredged in basically everything I have in the fridge and in the pantry. All right, get all this stuff down. There we go. Now this is gonna be the delicious Chipotle-Lime slaw, and this is going to marinate in the fridge for a little bit. Let me get this out of the way. Oh, I gotta get a little bit of cilantro down in there as well. Let me just get a little piece of this out. Just a touch. Now, the Chipotle pepper, of course, plays a nice piece in this, and you know on GBB that I love my Chipotle peppers, but especially because when I'm thinking about being down in La Manzanilla, you know, my chill spot, just kind of goes hand in hand. Okay, some mayo, some sour cream, and some chipotles in adobo. Oh, one of my favorite things ever. I'm not kidding you. You know, at Chipotle, being a smoked jalapeno pepper, they had to have a way to preserve the pepper back in the day, so they would smoke it, they would dry it out. Well, then they reconstitute it by making this adobo, which is kind of like a spicy vinegar sauce made with tomatoes, and oh, it's so dynamite. I mean, it just goes hand in hand with all kinds of great Mexican or Southwestern food. So 1/2 cup of the sour cream in my precise measuring techniques here on GBB. Okay, let me get you a little salt, actually a little pepper, a little salt. Chipotles are a little small on this one, so I'm just gonna kind of use 2 on this one. Chop it up. Want to get as much of that sauce in there as I can. Okay, and as I said, that adobo's got the tomato sauce and vinegar, a little bit of salt in there to kind of reconstitute them and preserve them. Okay, so that's in. Now, here we go. Microplane, take the zester, get some of the lime zest in there. Not going down too far, just getting the top piece there, and then taking it and getting the juice. The juice by itself just doesn't say lime enough. Now, I'm gonna put some lime juice, and I'm gonna put some white vinegar. And why the white vinegar? Well, you know, the vinegar kind of gives that real distinctive flavor and says, I am slaw. And the lime juice has kind of the citrusy, acidic side to it. So, a couple tablespoons of that, and I think this will work out great. Okay, and before I go any farther, let me get a little bit of sugar in there too. Kind of bringing all the flavors together. Okay, so mix this up. Let this kind of hang out for a second, and then I'll pour it on top of that slaw mixture and pop that in the fridge. Cast iron skillet's ready to go, and we've only got about a 1/4 inch, a little bit more of oil in there, and these catfish fillets are ready to go downtown. Now these are gonna go down, I'm only gonna put 2 in at a time. Even though the cast iron really retains heat well, this is great for doing fried chicken, by the way, I don't wanna put too much in at one time, have them steam each other and lose some of the spreading. So in, nice and easy. Look at that, about halfway up. And another one. That's a hearty portion of catfish, I may say. Okay, so we'll let that bubble over like that. Let's take a minute here and turn these over and see if they're ready to go. I don't want to mess with them a lot. Actually, I don't want to use tongs. I want to use some kind of a spatula and see if this is ready to go over. I really want to make sure that the crust, the crunch is really set up on that other side. So let me take a look here. All right, that bad boy's ready to go over for sure. There we go. And over on this one, nice golden brown. Look at that. Little Cuban roll, toasted it there with some butter. Actually grabbed some of this slaw, throw that right on top of this Chipotle-Lime slaw that I made. Fantastic. Let me grab a cuchillo, look at that thing. And what we're gonna, look at this. I just gotta check it out. I wanna see what it looks like from the side here. It's enough to feed 3 people, just one sandwich. Take a look at that. Let me get into a bite of this. Wow. Crab cakes, baked until golden and served with this creamy Old Bay Remoulade, totally out of bounds. Quality crab cake should be all about the crab and very little about the filler. And that's the key right here, is getting this really nice lump crab, that's the body meat, and getting this back fin meat, okay? We'll talk about that in a second. All right. Now let's get some lemon. Lemon, seafood, hand in hand. Here's what we'll do. We'll get the zester out. This is gonna take a little bit of time. This is perfect for Ryder, Hunter, or Jules, is to get this and really zest this lemon, a couple of them, and I'm gonna divide this between the remoulade and the crab cake. Okay, those are done. So half for the remoulade, half for the cakes. Lay these over to the side, okay? Now the remoulade, I want you to think about kind of like an aioli. We're gonna be a little bit on the fancier side, so first we'll go in with a little mayo, just a little gentle 1 cup. We'll start off with the Old Bay, a tablespoon or so. We'll get a little Creole mustard. We'll go with a couple tablespoons of pickle juice. I think I can eyeball this. 2. Capers really help out the brininess of this. And a little bit of chives. Okay, so chop up the chives, the capers. All right, so the chives, capers are done. We'll drop that in. There we go. We'll touch some black pepper, a little bit of salt. Mix it up. This is great to do ahead of time. The key on this is letting these flavors come together and refrigerate this, and they're gonna go so incredibly well with the crab cakes. Okay, now let's get into making the crab cakes. So what I'll do, a couple eggs, work as binder, and the idea is as little as possible in making the filling, okay? This is really just binder. There we go. Now I know that everybody has, just randomly hanging out, a cup of pre-crushed crackers of your choice. Panko breadcrumbs work fine, a butter cracker, a saltine type cracker, you name it. So we'll drop that in. We're gonna drop in a little bit of the mayo, about a half cup. We'll get in just a touch of the Old Bay, about a teaspoon. And then my favorite part of this whole thing when this crab cake concoction happens is a little hot sauce. Okay. Okay, now here's the key. Take off the bling. And we're gonna add, this is the panade, so I want you to kind of think like a meatball. First, I'm gonna add in this back fin meat, okay? Lightly mix this together with the egg, with the mayo, with the Old Bay, okay? Now that that's mixed together evenly, now we'll go ahead and grab the lump meat, and this is the beauty, this is the gem of the crab cakes. We drop those in, and here's the deal. Lightly, and I mean lightly, fold that together. Just enough egg and mayo to bind it together. And this is what we should be coming out with. Oh, this looks amazing. We're gonna make about 6 of these. Beautiful, huh? Okay, now the idea with the crab cakes was this. I mixed together a little bit of the egg, a little bit of the mayo, just enough to bind this together. So breadcrumbs, cracker crumbs, I used like a butter cracker in this one, but I had to let them kind of come together. I had to let them tighten up, because if I didn't, when I put them in the pan, they're just gonna kind of fall apart. Now, most people, when they have crab cakes, how have you guys had them? Exactly, fried. Not frying these. You're gonna lose all that fantastic crab flavor, okay? So what we're going to do, nice seasoned cast iron skillet, a little olive oil, cooking spray, whatever floats your boat. Hold them together, about baseball size. Don't worry about it, they're not gonna expand like cookies. We'll drop one in the center. Now I've got the wood-fired oven here right around 400 degrees, and I've got a nice little tickle of flame. Well, I will have a tickle of flame going over the top. So we're looking kind of for like a broiler action here. Preheat the oven, then throw the broiler on just to crust the top, okay? So we take this, slide it in, grab a piece of wood, and hope that it flames up. Look at that. Fantastic crab cakes, lump crab meat. Oh, I'm telling you, outrageous, and just enough filler just to bind it. We've got a nice toasted crab cake. I've got the lump crab meat as well as the back fin. This is from the blue crab. Just enough mixture with a little bit of egg and mayonnaise to bind it together. I'll put a touch of the remoulade, the key ingredient in there, of course, being a little bit of Old Bay. We'll throw that right on the side. Gotta get a bite. Here comes Roxy. Walking through, you're not getting any. all you taste is seafood. All you taste is crab. This broiling technique versus frying it, no breadcrumb on the outside of it. And if you look in here, if you kind of dig in, you see all that lumpy crab meat, all those big white pieces just going, oh my gosh, fantastic.